If you are interested in starting your own podcast, we use Buzzsprout because it is simple and easy to use. Buzzsprout can get your show listed on every major platform while giving you the resources for a great podcast website, audio players that can drop into other websites, detailed analytics to see how people are listening to your podcast, and tools to promote your episodes. Podcasting isn't hard when you have the right partners, and that is why over 100,000 podcasters are already subscribed to Buzzsprout to get their message out to the world. Following the link in our episode descriptions lets Buzzsprout know that we sent you. So in return, you will receive a $20 Amazon gift card from Buzzsprout while signing up for a paid plan. Most importantly, every subscription through our link is always appreciated and helps support our show so we can continue delivering the quality content that you guys listen to. That being said, back to the show.
Hello and welcome to Comic Book Junkies. I'm Andrew.
This is Joe.
And this week we're coming at you with our top 10 list, our top 10 female characters in comics. For those of you new here, we've done this in the past with the different villain rankings and stuff like that. You can go back and listen to those in the backlog. But we're going to do it the same way for those of you who have been here before. We each came up with our own individual list. We kind of, compared and contrasted, weighed them, and then kind of came up with a combined list. So this is the two of us co-signing one list for the Comic Book Junkies. With that being said, let's just get right on into it. We'll start off with number 10. Do you want to lead us off?
Yeah, but let me preface by saying I think this was the hardest list that we've done, and the order specifically was pretty hard too. I was kind of surprised by how many characters that I really wanted to fit into this top 10. So I think between the both of us, we got a pretty quality list. But starting with number 10, we're going to go Storm. Storm is dynamic in that she's one of, if not the first Black female superhero in Marvel Comics, at least popularized, but it doesn't start and stop there, as Storm also embodies the true meaning of what it means to be a hero. It never wavers when it comes to like her beliefs, and has been a pillar of the X-Men since she was introduced in Giant Size X-Men along with the rest of the team. I also think she doesn't get enough credit when it comes to how powerful she is, but I did appreciate everything Claremont and Byrne was able to do for the character. And if you were interested in learning more about Storm, I would start there.
Yeah, I don't really have too much more to add on that. I was definitely, while I was, thinking up who could make the list, like you mentioned, there was a ton of characters that I could have put on here that I kind of had to tussle with. But yeah, Storm, she is one of the most powerful mutants. I think Omega level. She was literally married to Black Panther. Talk about a power couple. And she's always been like a pillar of the team during ever since she was introduced.
Yeah, kind of synonymous.
Yeah, so definitely has to make the top 10 in some capacity.
For sure. Moving to number 9, I got Batgirl, first appearing in Detective Comics 359. Not the original Batgirl, but my favorite Batgirl, Barbara
Everyone's
Gordon.
favorite Batgirl.
Yeah, daughter of Commissioner Gordon. It just made for such a natural transition into joining the Bat family and becoming Batgirl. In addition to that, she was left paralyzed by the Joker in the famous story, The Killing Joke, which is one of the most brutal things to ever happen to a popular comic book character, and made for arguably one of the best Batman stories ever told. Furthermore, writers have kept her relevant since, as she's embraced the adversity of that storyline and has taken on the role of Oracle. So she continues to play a big part in Batman comics, and again is my favorite version of the character.
Yeah, once again, you kind of just took everything that I had to say basically and just laid it out there because, yeah, we don't really care about the Betty Kane Batgirl from 1961. No offense. Cool key and all, but we're talking about Barbara Gordon. But yeah, the transition from being Batgirl turning to Oracle and, being really well received in that capacity before returning as Batgirl again eventually to obviously everybody was welcoming that. There's a contingent out there who don't, but that's exceptions to the rule. But I think, making her Batgirl again is the best way to popularize the character and kind of keep it moving for another generation, I think.
Completely agree. I don't have anything more to say on the character. Should we move to number 8?
Yeah, number 8, Mary Jane Watson. First appeared in Amazing Spider-Man issue 25 before fully appearing in issue 42 back in 1965. So, I mean, she's basically the longtime love interest of Spider-Man, Peter Parker. They were married at one point and they, wrongfully undid that. But, she's the most enduring partner of Peter Parker, more or less, because he's been with Black Cat, obviously Gwen Stacy. But when you think Spider-Man, you typically think, Mary Jane. So, I mean, she's calling him Tiger and everything. I mean, she's just classic. I mean, I don't know how they really handle it nowadays. It doesn't seem to be in the right direction. But I mean, who's a more enduring character, especially for, never really having powers or anything like that, is just a supporting character.
Yeah, I mean, Spider-Man's such a popular character too. It wouldn't make any sense to leave her off the list considering she's the best female character in all of Spider-Man comic books. But I don't have anything else to add to that one. So let's touch on one of your favorite characters. Let's go to number 6.
Number 7.
Number 7. Let's go to number
Number
7.
7. Right on. So this one was obviously basically at the top of my list just because I was thinking of this list through what characters do I enjoy the most. That's Mary Marvel. Probably not going to make most people's top 10 list, but this is a comic book junkies list, so we're going with number 7 as Mary Marvel. So, I mean, first appeared in Captain Marvel Adventures number 18 back in 1942. That was actually also the first appearance of the Marvel family, with her and Billy and Freddie. But she's actually Billy Batson's sister. Her adopted name is Mary Bromfeld, for those who don't know. I mean, I think that's what they use in the current movies, but they're not saying that they're like biological siblings. But regardless, she also has the power of Shazam. Obviously, tough as nails, pretty badass whenever she does appear, but, the general Marvel family treatment nowadays is that they're not always around, so they are kind of slept on. But I mean, she held many series that she was working or, carrying on her own. She had her own self-titled back in the 40s. And then, I mean, she also headlined WoW Comics for a long time, as well as appearing in the Marvel family books. So, I mean, yeah, she rules.
Because that was like your character, I didn't know what else to say on that one, so I figured I'd leave that one to you. So these 4 that we've mentioned already were kind of, some were on my list, some were on his list, but this top 6 that we're about to go into were on both of our lists. So I feel pretty good about, the characters moving forward as well. Do you want to start off with number 6?
Number 6, The Invisible Woman, Susan Storm, first appeared in Fantastic Four issue 1 back in 1961. She is the wife of Mr. Fantastic Reed Richards, the sister of the Human Torch. She's the first female superhero created in the Silver Age for Marvel. And I mean, arguably, she's the strongest member of the Fantastic Four. I mean, Dr. Doom has even said as much himself. So, I mean, how could she not be? She's the first woman of the, first family. I mean, she's tough as hell. She's the glue of the family. I mean, they all, well, probably the thing is, but you know what I mean. I mean, just a great character, just enduring, like, especially the way that, Reed Richards treats her. And she kind of like to run around with Namor and his little Speedo and Dr. Doom with his messed up face. She doesn't care. She just wants attention from like a good dude, which Reed Richards isn't. But I mean, she's badass. She doesn't really necessarily, they're not trying to rescue Sue all the time. She's, out there pretty much saving their ass with her powers. So she's badass.
Yeah, I don't think it's wrong to say that she's the glue, considering she's sister of the Human
matriarch.
Torch. Yeah, and, wife of Mr. Fantastic. But yeah, definitely, arguably the second most important female character in all of Marvel Comics. The Fantastic Four would not be the same without her, and I don't think that they fully tapped into her potential, which is crazy, considering that she is like Marvel's first popular female superhero. But moving to number 5, we got Zatanna. I came close to putting Black Canary on the list, but decided to give it to my other favorite character with fishnets. Appearing in Hawkman issue 4, she's one of the strongest sorceresses in DC Comics and is kind of like the Wonder Woman of the Justice League Dark. I've always been a huge fan of this character, even dating back to me watching Smallville, but I'm also excited to see what plans DC and James Gunn has for the character moving forward, considering that we are getting a Swamp Thing movie. I would be very surprised if she doesn't cameo somewhere because she's underutilized. And although she is a character from the Silver Age, she's got deep DC roots. So very cool character that I would love to see more of moving forward.
Yeah, especially because like she's like a magic based character, and usually not too many of those are like too prominent, or they usually don't get too prominent, you know. I mean, obviously she's more popular than her dad, and he debuted back in Action Comics 1, I believe, with Superman, Zatara. But you know, she is really cool. She's one of the more badass heroes too. She is kind of reminiscent of a Wonder Woman, you know, kind of leads through example, tough. You don't really mess with her. Even John Constantine's like, nah, I'm not gonna mess with her, even though he tries to. Obviously, he loves messing around. So unnecessary. But anywho, yeah, just a badass character. I'm really hoping that they do end up fitting her into like the live action plans eventually, or you know what, I don't care, I'll take animated. But it's just a character that is underutilized, especially for how much we see her relative to her being, you know, introduced in the 60s. But really good character on the list. Moving on to number 4, you know, the highest of our Marvel characters, actually, looking at it, Jean Grey. So, I mean, first appearance back in X-Men issue 1, 1963. She's been known as Marvel Girl, the Phoenix, and the Dark Phoenix. She's one of the Omega level mutants, so typically one of the strongest. She's one of the most notable, powerful, recognizable female heroes, not just for female heroes, you know, the X-Men in general. You'd be hard pressed to find something that doesn't have Jean Grey attached in some capacity. But I mean, obviously, I feel like she's the big tuna at Marvel. I don't think anybody is really touching her status. As close as many other characters have come, there's just a lot of like history around the character, especially with how big the X-Men have gotten. Even I believe when Claremont was getting ready to take over, she was already written off the team because they were introducing the new team. But he already, you know, obviously very early into the run, within like the first like 10 issues, she was back, and he turned her into something else. So I think she was definitely deserving because she's been consistent all the way through.
For sure. Yeah. And I guess if you've ever listened to our Dark Phoenix Saga episode, which is actually one of my favorites, you would know that we're big on Jean Grey, First Lady of the X-Men, a character that's brought a lot of attention to comic books, like the medium itself, as she's been a part of like every important major event in regards to the X-Men, and was also one of like the first ever popular characters to die in comics. Her death predates Superman's, if I'm correct. So, pretty big deal there. Moving to number 3, it's not a very popular choice, but again, to Berger's point, this is the CVJ list, and we're both fans. I would go as far as saying this is my personal favorite female character in all of comic books, Lois Lane. I just love what the character embodies. She's got this old school go-getter mentality and stands as equals to Superman, even though she has no actual powers. I might be biased because, you know, Smallville is one of my favorite shows, and I loved the interpretation of her in the first 2 Superman movies with Christopher Reeve. And I don't know, she's definitely underrated and has been representing since 1940. So I can't say enough about the character.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I mean, she's just badass. She don't take no shit. And like you said, she stands toe-to-toe with Superman. She'll stand toe-to-toe with like a terrorist. She don't really care. You know, hard-nosed reporter, you know, gets the job done. Mother of John Kent, you know, Superman's iconic love interest, obviously. But like, that's not, you know, undercut like who she is as a character. I mean, there's a reason she's never been replaced, or she can't be replaced all the way since 1939. You know, it's just all the way through. Lois Lane's been badass. I mean, I even bought the first issue of her solo series because it's so cool. Who doesn't love Lois?
Facts. You gonna hit him with number 2?
Number 2, Catwoman. Obviously, no list is complete without Catwoman. So, you know, she's been from way back. That was what, Batman issue 1 that she was introduced. So, I mean, she's had a like heavy presence since the Golden Age. She was obviously, you know, put on the shelf, came back in the Silver Age, kind of, you know, the purple costume, stuff like that, before being like fully reinvented around Batman, like year 1, around that time, where we see the more modern Catwoman that we know today. But I mean, you know, multiple portrayals in live action, obviously used in animated shows. Just, you know, if Batman's around, Catwoman's not far away, especially nowadays. I mean, she's, you know, there's almost like a mini trio at DC Comics of like her, Harley Quinn, and Poison Ivy. But I mean, if you're looking for like the clear standout, it's Catwoman.
100%. Catwoman's got to be my favorite female character in Batman, which is saying a lot considering all of the good options. Thinking of like Poison Ivy, Batgirl, etc. She's a well-written character. We never know if she's going to be a hero, a villain, a lover, an adversary. She's been around since issue 1 of Batman, which is insane. I definitely admire her resilience and her ability to look out for her own self-interest. And to your point, she's played a huge role outside of comics as the character's been adapted to TV, movies, multiple different occasions, keeping the legacy alive and strong.
Number one.
Number one. So, Wonder Woman. Given that she's the leader of a whole island of women, it was hard not to give her our number one spot. It's cliche, but given her popularity, but if you listen to our Trinity episode, you would understand how important of a character Wonder Woman has been to DC Comics and pop culture in general. She's a true warrior and pretty much the prototype of female superheroes. I don't think that there would be as much representation in comics if she wasn't the first to break the mold. I want to say she came out around the same time as Captain America, so the longevity and impact speaks for itself. She's got all the traits of a great comic book superhero, and she's not your typical damsel in distress either. Lastly, I don't know if she'll be initially featured, but I am excited for the new Game of Thrones type TV show that's supposed to come out on HBO featuring Paradise Island.
Yeah, I mean, that'll be cool. I don't know if she'll be in it. I think it might be a prequel type thing, but either way, that wouldn't be possible without her. The fact that you can make a TV show about that just lends to the fact that she is like the OG. I mean, literally, she is. She came out in 1941 in All-Star Comics issue 8. I would argue she's probably the most popular female hero worldwide, I would imagine. Instantly iconic from the costume to, just everything about her. It helps, obviously, having, Linda Carter and having that kind of have more fans kind of grow throughout time. But I mean, when you look at this list, there's only like 2 that are from the golden age, and one of them's clearly way more popular than the other. But I feel like anybody who's been able to, stand the test of time like that and still be a prominent character obviously deserves to be on this list. I mean, we're talking over, I mean, at this point, 80 years. So, I mean, these characters are going to be going for a long, long time. They all do rule in retrospect, and there's like a ton of them that we left off. I mean, we could make a whole second list most likely. You want to do 10 through 20 eventually, but it's pretty good that there's this many good characters and that it's this tough for us.
Big facts. But that being said, that concludes our top 10. I am excited to say that we have some news for you guys, though.
Absolutely. Stay for the news and notes. We'll let you know what we're doing next time. First up, that's good news, but we'll have the better news after this. X-Men Days of Future Past. We're going to be reading and reviewing, recapping, whatever you want to call what we do. We're doing that next time. Our bread and butter, baby. So we'll have a nice one for you, especially because we did read about we did talk about a few X-Men in this episode. Let's get that synergy in there. I know you guys are pumped about the X-Men right now. So we're going to hit you with that one next. And then for our special news, you're going to want to keep your eyes on social, specifically Instagram. If you follow us on Facebook, you'll likely see it there as well, but it's best to go to the source on Instagram. That's at CBJ Pod. You can also search Comic Book Junkies. You'll see our big, beautiful faces smiling at you. You click on that and just, follow, and then just keep your eyes tuned because we're getting very close to 1,000 followers on Instagram. And to do that, we're going to be celebrating with a little giveaway. We'll, like I said, more details on an Instagram post coming in the future, tell you how to enter, how many times you can enter, etc. Don't worry, it'll be here before you know it because we are not far. But we're going to be giving away a copy of Spider-Man issue 1 by Todd McFarlane to celebrate. It's in nice shape. I believe it's the platinum cover or, the
silver.
The gray cover, the silver cover, the more desirable cover than the green cover. We are giving that one away. I don't know if that's controversial, but if it is, shove it, dude. So stay tuned. And if you want
we worked really hard on picking that out.
Yeah, dude, we were looking everywhere, and then it just spoke to us. And we says, yeah, we'll do that.
But we figured you guys deserved it. We figure you guys have supported us, so we're gonna give back.
Absolutely. So yeah, stay tuned to the Instagram. Once again, that's at CBJ Pod. Do all the other stuff all the other influencers and podcasters tell you, rating and reviewing and stuff. That's not for me to spiel about right now. But That being said, thank you for listening. Thank you for getting us so close to 1,000 followers. Hopefully that's not where it stops and we just keep on going and we go even quicker because of you guys and your support. That said,
Thanks,
thank
guys.
you. Later.